Welcome to the Elevated Chat Room. We're here for another episode. It's your host, Dwayne Malone, also Lonzo Jones. And today we have a special guest. Lonzo will tell you about our guest. Meanwhile, while you're tuning in, just remember you're here to elevate your mind so you can elevate your life. Let's go, Lonzo Jones.
Yes, sir. The Elevated Chat Room, like my guy said. Welcome. We got a special guest with us today. Pretty boy. Y'all see him? No, for real though. This is my guy, our guy, man. He has he's done great things in the community.
Sure.
He's going nationwide.
For sure.
I mean, he's making an impact not just here locally, but nationally. And I'm gonna let my guy introduce himself, but his name is Antonio Grate.
Yes.
Yo,
Antonio Grate.
Yo, what is good, family? Hey, man, listen, first and foremost, I just want to say, man, it's a blessing. It's an honor to be with y'all today in the Elevated Chat Room.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, man. So listen, just a little bit about me. My name is Antonio Grate. I am a social and emotional strategist. I work with children and youth in the foster care system. I work with Title I school students, and I help them to progress and develop emotionally.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what you do.
Yes, sir.
So you got a real title.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So he ain't just out here playing. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think sometimes we see people doing what they do and we don't really know their background,
Yeah.
their history, their story.
Yeah.
So tonight, we're going to share with you, well, Antonio's going to share with you his history, his story. So the topic tonight is breaking the mold, one man's journey from foster care to fulfillment.
Yes.
All right, question number one. For my guy, Antonio Grate. What was a defining moment in your journey from foster care to fulfillment? So what was that defining moment that you had that fulfilled you through foster care?
Man, that's a good question because I had a lot of moments, right?
Okay.
But I think one out of the many moments for me that was a defining moment was really, man, when I graduated high school and I was actually able to go to college.
Okay.
And for me, the reason why that was just such a big moment was because, man, like where I come from, man, coming from the inner city of Chicago, the ghetto of Chicago, man, like the community that I grew up in, man, they say 1 in 4 African-American men by the time they reach 18 or 21 is going to be dead or in jail, right? So when you think about that, the statistics was against your boy, you know what I mean? And I had to fight every single day, bro, not to be one of the statistics. And when I say, man, I graduated and I was off to college, where I felt like I made it.
Oh man, that's heavy. So what you saying is that you beat the odds.
Exactly,
Come on,
exactly.
like you gotta own that though.
Yeah.
Like you gotta take pride in that, bro.
Yeah.
Like everybody's not beating the odds. That's why they got stats like that.
Yeah.
1 in 4, you said don't make it, or 1 in 4 make it.
1 in 4 don't make it. They end up dead or in jail.
Man, come on.
Wow.
So graduating may have been something that the average kid that's in foster care may not even be able to visualize.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm assuming that that's why it means so much to you, because it's like, bro, like I really could have got lost. So what could you have gotten lost in? That's the question.
Ah, man, some of everything. That's the question. Now, I could have got lost in the simple fact that just growing up in the ghetto, man, you see a lot of negative stuff. You know what I mean? You see the crime, you see the prostitution, you know what I'm saying? You're around the violence and you're around the shootings and different things of that nature, like, and the drugs, you're around this environment. So I could have got lost in the environment. I could have got lost in all of the negative things that my environment was showing me each and every day.
Okay, that's good. Before we even go on to the next question, how did you get into the foster care system? Like, how did that, like, what happened for you to end up in the foster care system, my guy?
Yeah, the short version is, man, I was about 15, 16 years old, right? And at this particular point in time, I was living with my mom. And my mom was giving birth to my baby sister. But upon giving birth to my baby sister, drugs was found in my baby sister's system. And it immediately, in Chicago's DCFS, became a part of my family. So they immediately took my baby sister away. And then at the same time, not long after, they took me away as well. And my baby sis was born with some deformities and things of that nature, and she was eventually adopted. That's when I officially got involved in the foster care system. But if you really start looking at my life overall, I feel like I was always in the foster care system, because shortly after I was born, I was taken away from my mom. and I began to live with my grandparents.
Okay.
And from then on, it's just a journey of moving, you know what I'm saying, relocating, changing environments, and different things of that nature with individuals that was in my family.
That's good, bro. I mean, and hey, I appreciate you, you know what I'm saying, sharing your story. That's a sign of strength and freedom, and also a sign of vulnerability. You see what I'm saying? So hey, make sure you keep that up throughout the show. Don't hold nothing back. I'm like real talk, like don't hold nothing back, because there's somebody out there that needs what you're talking about. They need Antonio Grate. You feel me? All right. So you got anything else you want to add, Dwayne?
No, sir. I'm loving it.
All right, let's go on to question number 2, man. All right. It says, how did your experience in foster care shape your outlook on life and success? So how did foster care help shape the way you look at success and your just like your overall life? How did foster care play a role in that?
Man, like I was saying before, when you just really start looking at the whole body of my life, man, it was filled with a lot of instability.
Okay.
And it was filled with a lot of risk. What a lot of people don't really understand for real, is just that, man, growing up in the ghetto of Chicago, like, it was considered one of the most ruthless cities in the nation at the time. And when you think about that, like, it was really, really bad. And the thing about growing up in the shop, man, you ain't got to look for trouble; it finds you. So every single day of my life, man, I really lived a life of fear. Like, I mean, think about that. Like, when I left out of my apartment building, in my mind, I'm wondering if I'm gonna make it to my destination safely. When I made it to my destination safely, I'm worried if I'm gonna make it back to where I'm going, my home, safely. So in the midst of all of that, your boy has to literally plan, plot, strategize what bus I'm gonna catch, what block I'm gonna walk down, what time of the day I'm gonna do this, because at any given moment, it could be tragic for your boy. Just to make it plain. You know what I mean? So for me, that environment was so stressful. And you talk about PTSD in the hood. You know what I mean? You talk about somebody living with fear each and every day, man. So like that part right there was pretty tough. And
Like, yeah, let me ask you the question again just so you can get a refresher. It says, how did your experience in foster care shape your outlook on life and success? So did you even think while you're going through these things that you could actually be successful? Could you see past your present?
yeah, it was very unique how that happened, man, because one thing that I want to just talk about is the word trauma. And the word trauma, it comes in different shapes and different sizes, right? So for me, man, the fact that my mom was on drugs, man, shortly after I was born, and me finding out, and the way that I found out, you know what I'm saying, through a childhood friend, I said something, I guess, mean to her, something like that, and she popped off and she went off on your boy, and she was like, "That's why your mom is a crackhead," in front of my friends and everything of that nature, man. When I heard that, it broke everything inside of me. Because you got to think about it, man. Like growing up in the hood, man, we seen crack fiends walking through the block, walking through the neighborhood. But guess what? I was that kid that was laughing at them. Not really realize I'm laughing at somebody mama. I'm laughing at somebody daddy. I'm laughing at somebody cousin. So when that girl said that to me, I never thought in a million years my mom would be in that situation. I never thought in a million years that I would be in that situation.
Yeah.
So I was broken, bro, to the core, and I was like, no, not my mama.
That's
So when you think about the trauma and having to navigate it, so many different traumatic experiences, bro, it was challenging within itself. But the thing about the foster care, or my experience in foster care, my experience growing up and to now in regards to success, it's me understanding and learning how to manage those traumatic experiences. Because the traumatic experiences, what it ultimately affects is this right here, your heart.
Yeah.
It slowly but surely breaks your heart into pieces. And then when that happens, now the question is, can you put those pieces back together again? And what I learned, which is the reason why I do what I do now, is that I learned over time how to put those pieces back together. And now I share that with whoever I'm talking to.
So would you say too, a lot of those different traumas that you had to experience also became stepping stones to help you move in a direction to want success and to not remain in that place or not to ever see other kids go through that? Would you say that as well?
Yeah, I would definitely say that. But the one thing I want to point out, man, is that like when you're dealing with trauma, man, a lot of times it's hard to see success. A lot of times it's hard to feel success. A lot of times, matter of fact, you don't even think you worth it. You don't even think you have value.
Come on.
And the thing that I learned during that time is that because your heart is broken, which is broken where on the inside of you, in order to fix that, you got to begin to find something on the inside to fix what's broken on the inside.
Sir.
Come on.
And the things that I found was one thing I talk about, man, is identifying your why. Like I identified a reason to live. I identified a reason to fight when I wanted to give up. I identified a reason to move forward when everything in front of me, everything around me was telling me I should stop. I identified a motivation to keep going when I didn't have the energy or when I didn't have the drive. You know what I'm saying? That's the why. I found that.
Yeah.
But the beauty of the why is the fact that what the why is happening where? Inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
The why is happening internally. And that's the thing that I try to share with people. If they want to begin to get past their challenges, trauma, they got to find something internally they can begin to focus on and draw from to help them move through the challenges that they facing each and every day.
My boy dropping these jewels, these nuggets, these gems. This is the Elevated Chat Room. Elevate your mind, elevate your life. This boy right here on it, man. So it sounds like what you were saying was, even though you didn't say this word, I just heard it was coping.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that everybody, even adults, but especially this generation, they have problem coping. They don't know when life hit them, when life go left, they go left with it. They don't know how to fight. They don't know how to stand up. They don't know how to withstand, to persevere. And that's pretty much your whole story.
Yeah.
It's a story of how to cope, maneuver, persevere, and then still able to have vision even when it's blurry.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Come on now.
That's good.
Come on now.
Not Zoe dropping them, man. Like, but that's 100, man. That's right on point because the truth of the matter is like coping skills. You can have negative coping skills or you can have positive.
That is
skills.
true. That's true.
And the truth of the matter is that a lot of times when you're hurting, you turn to coping skills that typically are negative. And honestly, that really makes the situation even worse.
Yes, it does.
But when you can find positive coping skills, then you begin to pull yourself out of that so-called pit or that low place, and you begin to elevate and begin to move forward and eventually get over the obstacles that you're facing.
Wow. So would you say even in those moments right there, when you was in these toxic places, though you trained yourself to kind of look at it in a way, you seen past that moment to you seen the success, you seen where you was gonna be, and you kind of had to take yourself to that place away from the present in that moment where you were at.
Yeah. And the other thing I'm gonna say to that is, man, like we talked about the why, but the other piece is you also gotta have a dream. You know what I mean? Like, because the dream is something that you can't even touch right now in the physical.
That's true.
The dream is something that you see with your eyesight or you see with your vision of something that you desire or hope to happen in the future.
Let's go.
And the dream is the thing that draws you through and past some of the things that you're facing right now. So the dream is the thing that will cause you to continue to fight, will cause you to continue to draw near to something that you believe in, that you want. And ultimately, the dream, in the shortest sense or the simplest sense, is something that you just believe is better than what you're seeing right now.
Come on, that's good. That's good. There's a quote that came to mind when you was talking just then. It says that your feet will never take you that your mind where your mind hasn't already been.
Let's go. I love it.
So in other words, like, bro, if you can't see yourself in the future in a better place, your feet will never take you there.
Yeah.
You will never get to that destination. And you dropping some stuff on them. And like I said, once again, y'all, this is Antonio Grate. Antonio Grate. Y'all see the hat? Y'all see the Be great. Y'all check this guy out on Facebook, on social media. Tell him what your Facebook and social media stuff is, my guy.
Oh, man, yeah, for sure. The first thing I hit you with is just the website, Antonio Grate. That's Grate as in Tom, E as in elephant.com. Hit me there. You can find my social media links from there. And like I said, Antonio Grate, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff as well.
He's a real life brand, y'all. He's a real life brand. All right, we ready for question number 3?
Let's go.
All right, here we go. It says, can you share a pivotal challenge you faced and overcame along your path? What is something that you overcame that you're just like, man, it just pops in your mind that you're just so proud of, that you just take so much joy in? What's that one thing?
Well, man, for real though, it's more than just one thing.
Okay, well, come on, give us some stuff.
It's more than one thing, but for real though, man, like when I heard you ask that question, the first thing that came to my mind, man, is when I was living with my grandparents and the love of my life, my grandmother, she began to get ill.
Mhm.
And around this time, I'm like 8, maybe 9 years old. And she began to get so ill that she started to spend months in the hospital.
Mhm.
And when she eventually came back home, I didn't even recognize her, right? She was skinny, you know what I'm saying? She didn't have any hair, and she wasn't mobile. She was just always in the bed. And I really didn't know what was going on, but I knew something wasn't right.
Mhm.
And eventually she passed away. And because I started asking some questions, I realized why she passed away. She passed away due to breast cancer, right?
Mm.
But the truth of the matter is, like, when that happened, I felt like a piece of me died. And it was rough for your boy. And I'm 8, 9 years old at this time. When I say it was rough, and I'm saying I was crying all the time. You know what I mean? I was heartbroken, bro, because you got to understand that when I say my grandmother, I'm talking about the love of my life, bro. I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying, somebody who I knew loved me without a shadow of a doubt.
Mhm.
Because you got to think about it, man. Like, I felt like my mom should have loved me, but because I felt like she chose drugs over me, that she didn't love me.
Mm.
I felt like my dad should love me, but he wasn't even around like that. So the people who I felt like should love me, they was disappointing me. They was showing me that they didn't love me.
Wow.
So my grandmother was there from the jump, and she held me down.
Mm.
But she didn't only hold me down, she had the family down, dog, like 10 toes down. My grandmother was in the real estate. She did hair. She was always going to church. She sold candy. Matter of fact, that was my first little hustle. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Getting candy for my grandma and selling it on the corner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and she baked cakes and cookies and stuff like that, bro, and passed them out to the neighbors and for the church and everything, bro. So my image of my grandmother was like a saint or an angel.
Mm.
So when I lost her, bro, my world just felt so empty, man. And it was just a lot of cloudiness, a lot of darkness, and I just cried every single day, it felt like. And I just remember that feeling, and that feeling was, I just felt like giving up. Right? I didn't have any fight. I don't know if you ever lost anybody, but I didn't have no strength, bro.
Yeah.
Because can I tell you something else? Why I felt like that was so heavy on me? Because prior to that, man, you got to think, I'm dealing with the fact that I learned that my mother was on drugs.
Mm.
I'm dealing with the fact that I witnessed my baby brother get hit by a van, all because he was trying to hang out with me. And he spent several months in intensive care, almost lost his life. And I'm dealing with the grief of that.
Mm.
You think about the fact that, bro, I was almost shot twice before the age of 9.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And you think about the fact that I'm growing up in this environment, this ghetto, and I'm seeing all this stuff. And as a young man, I'm just expected to cope with it, bro. So you take all that into consideration, then you see the fact that I lose the love of my life, bro. I done had nothing left.
Mm.
But something happened, man. We talk about defining moments, something happened. I had a different thought in the midst of that, bro. And I had this different thought, and it was, Antonio, if you give up right now, how are you going to make your grandma proud?
Mm.
Man, that might not sound like much to y'all,
That's
because you might be thinking like, man, what you mean? Your grandma already dead, bro. But for me,
Legacy.
that was a lifeline that I needed to get up off the mat and start fighting again, bro. Like, that was the reason, that was the why, that was the motivation, that was the thing that began to cause me to say, you know what, Antonio, you gotta keep going. You know what, Antonio, you gotta do it for your grandma. You know, Antonio, you know what, you gotta fight for her. You gotta prove, you know what I'm saying, make her proud.
Mm. Man, this is what's so amazing about what you just said. So her death hurt you and broke you, but it also built you.
Come on, dog.
Think about that. The same thing that caused you that pain also pushed you to purpose.
Come on, dog. Come on, dog.
Think about that now.
Come on, bro.
That's
Go ahead. In my grandmother's death, her life spoke the loudest.
Come on.
In her death, her life spoke the loudest, bro.
That's deep.
You talk about legacy. You talk about one of the reasons why I do what I do is because you never know when you plant them seeds and when them seeds will begin to give fruit.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying? And I felt like my grandmother in her life, she was planting seeds. And I'm going to tell you what type of seeds she was planting. She's planting seeds of love, bro.
Mm.
It was love that revived me, bro. It was love that revived the lifeless person that I was at that time, man. And I believe kids in the foster care system, man, if you could just genuinely show them love, I believe that's the seed that's needed to revive them. To revive them from the hopelessness that they're dealing with. Bro, I was hopeless. I didn't have no hope, but love gave me hope.
That's good. That's good. Love conquers all, baby.
Yeah.
Love conquers all, man. And it don't even matter what your spiritual belief is. Everybody needs love.
Yeah.
No matter what you believe, no matter what you really searching for is love.
Yeah.
So, bro, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. You got anything else?
No, man, I like it. I'm loving it, man. Killing it.
Well, Antonio Grate, he in the house. Elevated chat room.
Let's go.
All right, let's keep it moving in, man. Question number 4. What advice would you give to other foster care children aspiring to break free from the stats or statistics? That's one of the hardest words to say. Like, even when we do motivational speaking, I never say that word because it's a tongue twister.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say stats. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you got a question. Go ahead.
Nah, man.
What advice you got for them?
It's a lot, right? And it's kind of challenging because the truth of the matter is a lot of them are in different situations and different spectrums, man. We talking about kids who've been verbally abused. We talk about kids who's been physically abused. Man, we just talking about kids who've been moving from group home to group home. I mean, I know kids who've been in like 13 group homes, you know what I'm saying? They still in foster care. So you talking about kids who lost their loved ones, who lost their mom or their dad, you know, whether they're in prison, whether they died somewhere in some house. So you talk about a lot of different things that these kids are dealing with. And I think the one thing I'll just continue to go back to is that you have to find something on the inside to help you conquer the damage that has taken place on the inside.
Okay.
Like you have to begin to find something greater than you. And that's where the why come in at. That's where the dreams come in at. That's where the word I'm gonna use exposure come in at. Because sometimes, man, like kids have been exposed to just this one thing, which usually can be negative, and they don't know anything outside of that. But sometimes being exposed to something different can open your eyes and can cause you to believe something greater than what you've normally been seeing. So exposure is a thing. Identifying a why is another thing, and having a purpose is another thing, and having a dream is another thing. All these things are in a sense intangible, but all these things work around the very thing that was broken, which is your heart.
That's good.
So, how do they get if they're in a foster care situation? How would you recommend for them to get exposure to open their mind up to see things differently? How do they get that exposure?
Yeah, the exposure piece can come in a lot of different ways. One way it could come through reading books.
Come on, let them. Come on, talk to them.
One way it could come through being intentional in what type of movies you watch.
Okay.
You know, another way it could come is in regards to those you may live with, seeking out different things. You know, asking to go different places. You know, that you've never been, even if it's just something you've seen on TV. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, maybe a trip to Walt Disney World or something. You know, can open your eyes up to something different. But you never know, man. Like, for example, for me, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Like, I was going to my cousin's house, right, for a swimming party, and on the way to the swimming party, it was outside of my neighborhood, and at this time I'm like 8 years old, and I remember as I was sitting in the back seat of the car, and I was riding in the back seat looking out the window, and as the car started to really get away from my neighborhood, I started noticing something, right? And what I began to notice was all the houses that I began to pass began to look a whole lot different than what I was used to seeing in the hood.
Wow.
And the one thing that really stood out to me, y'all may laugh when y'all think about this, man, but it was the grass. What about the grass, you asked? It was the fact that the grass didn't have all this debris in it. It didn't have bottles, it didn't have soda cans, it didn't have drug baggies, it didn't have all this stuff that I'm used to seeing in the grass.
Yeah.
And it also didn't have these spots where it's a little bit of grass here, a little bit of grass there,
Yes,
right?
sir.
I'm talking about the grass was freshly green and freshly manicured, bro, like a fresh lineup. You feel what I'm saying? And bro, that stuck with me. Like, yeah, I was going to the other side of town for a swimming party,
Yeah.
but I had a game-changing moment when I got exposure to seeing what it looked like outside of my everyday environment. You see, for me, bro, that changed my whole perspective of life, because I'm thinking to myself, like, why ain't nobody tell me about this? Why ain't nobody show me this? You know what I'm saying? So when I went back to the hood, dog, I'm like, yo, it's way more out here than what I'm seeing every day. that stirs something up in me. And that's the beauty of exposure. It's to really stir something up where? On the inside, bro. I'm talking. If you're in foster youth, whoever. But the beauty of it is that what has been damaged is on the inside. But to repair what is damaged on the inside, it's important that you begin to learn how to win from the inside out.
That's good.
Win from the inside out. From the inside out. Because here's the thing: the reason why the coping mechanisms go left is because they're trying to bring easement to what's going on the inside of them. And they think smoking weed is going to do that. They think doing drugs is going to do that. They think partying is going to do that. But the truth of the matter is, that's just a short-term fix. In a sense, it's like a short-term high.
Quick high.
Guess what? It's going to come down. And guess what? You still got to deal with your reality. But when you can find positive and healthy coping mechanisms, it's going to begin to slowly heal the very thing that's broken. And that's what I'm talking about right now. I want to share through my story healthy coping mechanisms that can help individuals win from the inside out.
That's it. Antonio Grate, the elevated chat room. I'm telling you,
Go.
The guy dropping gems, man.
Let's go.
Dropping gems on y'all. Man, so like you said, you explain how you get to exposure. So it's one thing I always say: what are you reading? What are you watching? And who or what do you listen to?
That's good.
Who do you connect with?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not sure how it works in a foster care. Do they have opportunities to connect with other people and do different things like that and be exposed? Do they have those opportunities?
Yeah, the opportunities are there. Man, listen, bro, when we talk about foster care, we talking about on average, man, around 250,000 kids enter to the foster care system every year in the United States of America. Wow. Right. And then if you begin to really look at it yearly, it's probably close to around 500,000 kids that's in the foster care system in America. Wow. So when you start thinking about the foster care system, it's massive. So you talk about every state, all these different counties that have facilities and offices set up for foster youth, but everywhere it's a bit different. They all don't operate the same.
Okay.
And so there are opportunities there, but some places they probably have less opportunities. You know what I mean? They probably have less resources, but the opportunities are there. But how they get exposed to them or how they get access to them is really based upon the resources that are currently available in the area that they're currently in.
Gotcha.
So let me ask you this then. With your experience of actually being a foster child, being in foster care, what do you think can be looked at or done differently, or that could probably be more impactful to youth or children that are in foster care now that you look back over your life? And now you're doing what you're doing right now? And I'm sure some of it is just actually being able to go and speak and expose them to other things. But what is it that you would expose to those that are foster parents, those that deal with foster care children, social workers and so on? What would be something, if you don't mind me asking, that you feel like you could bring to the table that could be an asset to them? Because not like me, somebody that's never been in foster care that's talking about what I heard, but you being someone that experienced it, this is what I know.
Yeah. I think really you just hit it right on the head. It's bringing in someone who has lived experience, and that's what it is. Like, and the reason why I say that is because, man, like these foster youth have a lot of barriers. They have a lot of barriers because, man, you got to think about it, bro. Like when you've been disappointed, when you've been neglected, when you've been rejected, when you've been heartbroken, there's barriers there. And there's barriers around your heart. You don't really trust people. And then when you start thinking about them actually being in the foster care system, and you start thinking about their bad experience in foster homes, you start thinking about their bad experience in group homes, you just start thinking about their bad experience with social workers. You just compounding bad experience after bad experience after bad experience. So what happens is they build up a barrier. And in order for that barrier to start to come down, they have to be able to relate to somebody. And that's where the lived experience come in at. Like I might come in for the first time. They might not know me, but the fact that I got the lived experience and when I begin to talk, they start connecting with my story. They start connecting with my emotions. They start connecting with my feelings. And you know what happens? That barrier starts slowly but surely falling.
Wow.
And when that barrier falls, there's an automatic connection there and there's an openness there.
That's good.
So one thing I want to say is that, man, sometimes they have to begin to, those that social workers, caseworkers, directors, supervisors in the foster care system, child welfare space, one thing I would say is they have to kind of begin to think out of the box some.
That's good.
And thinking out of the box is thinking about those who have lived experience
Yeah.
and bringing those individuals around into the space of the foster children that you're working with
Yes.
in order to help break some of those barriers.
Mhm.
That's why I mentor kids in the foster care
That's
system,
good.
right? Because it's barriers breaking. I spoke with one of my mentees the other day,
Yeah.
and I've been mentoring a little bit over a year now. And just the other day, man, he was sharing so many good stories with me, bro.
Wow.
And man, I was just ecstatic. I was just through the roof, right? But when we finished talking, he just said, "Man, man, like I can't believe that I'm experiencing so many good things in my life right now."
Wow.
But he also said this. He said, "Man, I felt like it all started with our first conversation.
That's good.
With
That's
our
good.
first conversation."
How did that make you feel?
Yo, it's really priceless. You know what I mean? Like you can't really put a price tag behind it, but it just made me feel grateful.
Yeah.
Right? It just made me feel thankful because the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is because I remember I was that young kid.
Mhm.
I was that young man, and I felt like I was on the island all by myself.
Mhm.
So my thought process is, man, if I could land some type of support, even if it's just through my voice or through my ears of listening, I believe that could be a mechanism to stir something up inside that next individual, specifically those that are in the foster care system, man. So in essence, that one conversation was enough to stir something up in him, was enough to ignite something up in him.
Yeah.
He began to fight, man.
Yeah.
And now he's experienced life in a whole nother way, on a whole nother spectrum that he didn't even think was possible at one point.
See, that's what that word that's in our topic, the title for the night, is that fulfillment. You know, when he asks you, how does it make you feel? You start to get that fulfillment because it's like, man, I'm living a life of purpose.
Yeah.
And when you're making an impact and you see that you're effective, man, that's fulfillment.
Fact.
Like you can literally look yourself in the mirror and it's like, man, I'm doing what God called me to do.
That's good.
It's fulfillment and it's also affirmation because to me it also validates this is why I went through everything. Or I had to go through everything that I went through. It gives it purpose. You got what I'm saying? And that's even encouragement to the person that you're mentoring because one day they'll be able to do the same thing.
Yes.
They pay it forward, you know?
Yes.
And so, yeah, that's good, man.
Yeah, dog, that's it, bro. I was just thinking the same thing, man. Like a lot of times we go through things, we don't understand why we go through things in a moment. But man, when you can go through it and you can get through it and you can grow through it, that's your opportunity to pay it forward. To those who are facing some similar challenges that you are or that you have been. For that same reason you just mentioned, bro.
That's good stuff. I got a question that I want to just throw at you real quick. And you may or may not know the stats on this, but it just came to my mind. Do most kids that's in the foster care, do they come from like a low poverty, low education household, or does it hit all households?
Man, to be honest with you, it hits all households. But the truth of the matter is that there are a lot of kids that are in the foster care system, not so much because of abuse or neglect, but because of low income or poverty, right? And what I mean by that is that, man, like you get, I ain't gonna go too deep in it, but you have a lot of agencies or individuals or professionals that are required to report, you know what I'm saying, different things that they may see that's going on regarding children. So let's take teachers, for example. Man, they got a kid that's coming to school and he may not be fresh. He may, might not smell good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you know what they may do? They may sit down, talk to the little kid or something like that, kind of figure out what's going on. But at the same time, they may sense that something negative is going on, like neglect or abuse is going on, and they report it. But here's the thing. Once it's reported, it's kind of an uphill battle now for the family.
They're on the radar.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So here's what's happening. Because of lack of income, if you don't have the money, it's hard to really do the necessary things that you need to do for your household, for your children. So now they're reported, and what happens is now they're on the radar or they become part of the system. And once they become part of the system, now all these requirements are put on the parents to prove that they don't neglect their children, that they don't abuse their children. And who really that's affecting? That's really affecting African Americans.
Okay. And why is that?
Lack of funds, lack of personal income, the poverty aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? The poverty, which is now in different cities, in different states, they are now slowly but surely trying to address that because they realize that Just because somebody don't have the money to necessarily meet the needs of their family, why are we taking their kids from them?
Come on.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're a bad mother.
Come on.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're a bad father. Man, they just struggling financially, bro. They just hit a brick wall. They just lost their job.
Yeah.
And they trying to get back on their feet, but it's an uphill battle. Why are we penalizing them?
Wh-
Why aren't we providing the necessary resources for them?
Come on.
Why aren't we taking this into consideration? And why are we so eager to separate the family?
Yeah, because sometimes when you strip away the kids, for some people, that's the only hope that they have.
Mm.
Come on,
So
man.
when you take that away, you take the fight out of them from,
Yes.
you know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
So what about, so it's a whole lot harder for a kid to be stripped from a home where the mother and the father are there, because once you put the father in the home, if he's working and he's about somewhat of being a man, it takes the family, the household out of poverty just because he has a decent job and he's in the house. So would most of these kids that end up getting taken, will they be coming from a single mother household? Would you think that?
I don't know the statistics on that, but when I began to just look at a lot of different aspects of our society, I would have to say yes.
Okay.
And the reason why I would say yes is because, for example, man, like I grew up in the 80s, right? And in the 80s, it was a thing that we call a drug epidemic,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I know we just coming out of, in a sense, we coming out of COVID and it was a pandemic and things of that nature. But man, it was a drug epidemic. And what that means is that the inner cities were being filled with drugs. And when it became filled with drugs, it began to change the tides of the inner city, meaning that crime began to escalate in the inner cities, all because of drugs and money. But when that happened, guess what? All of a sudden, laws started being passed that started penalizing individuals who were selling marijuana, individuals who were selling crack cocaine, and guess who was getting caught? Well, a lot of times it was men.
Mm-hmm.
And these men, all of a sudden now, they ain't behind bars.
Mm.
So if they're behind bars, they ain't in the house no more.
Yeah.
If they ain't in the house no more, these kids growing up with their moms trying to make ends meet. And now you see a cycle, an unfortunate cycle begin to take place in the households of America.
That's
Yeah.
good stuff, bro. You spend some knowledge,
Yeah.
man. That's good stuff.
Because even in situations like that, most of the kids begin to take the role of trying to be the father or
Yes.
the man of the house,
Mhm.
and sometimes drive them to the streets to actually endorse or follow in behind the cycle of the father, if that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Abs-
it creates a lot of problems.
It creates, man, bro, like
It's bigger than what we think.
Yeah.
it creates a lot of problems, bro, for real, because like it's like I was watching this movie. I don't remember the name of it, man. It was a while ago, but it was this young man. He probably was like in his early 20s or something like that, right? But he had a kid. His dad wasn't in the house. His dad was in prison, and he had his home wasn't stable.
Right.
So he really didn't have a place to stay, but he was really trying to do the right thing because he had a kid. And we talk about, you know what I mean? Sometimes the child is the only hope that you have. So he really was trying to do the right thing, man. He wasn't trying to sell drugs and different things of that nature. But when you start thinking about it, because he was at one point in part of the system, he now was required to have certain things. Like he needed to pay child support that he wasn't able to pay because he didn't have a job. But guess what? He didn't have a job because he didn't even have the proper ID. And he couldn't even get the proper ID because of this and because of that. So the way the system was set up, or the way the system is designed, it makes it an uphill battle. It almost makes it impossible a lot of times for once you become marked in the system to actually be able to progress when you really start trying to do things the right way. The drugs he went back to the same community he came from. But in his mind, he's like, I'm trying to do things differently. But the drugs are still there.
Mm-hmm.
Those same people were still there. The opportunity to do something illegal was still there, even though he was trying to do what was right. And he just couldn't land a job. We talking about income. We talking about poverty.
Yeah.
We talk about the very same thing that could put a roof over him and his child's head. Instead, he's sleeping in the car. Instead, he's sleeping in a sense in an abandoned car because the car didn't even work.
Wow.
But he's still in that environment, which is the reason why he got in trouble in the first place. So you tell me how the system is positively rejuvenating those who are really trying to do right.
So it sounds like, man, you really have to have a strong support
Yes.
system, a team, you know what I'm saying? Family, friends, mentors.
Yes.
You got to have somebody, because once you get into the cycle, it's hard to get out of it.
Yes.
There's a quote I always say: the same mind that created the problem doesn't possess the power to get you out of it. So you need somebody else on your team.
Yes.
You know, young kids, young men, young women, you need mentors. You need a team. You need family that's really gonna push you. Like, don't be around a bunch of yes men and yes women that's always just gonna, you know what I'm saying, pat a cake and to your needs or whatnot. No, you need people that's gonna challenge you to be great. Get up,
Yeah.
link up,
Yeah.
and then you will start to see your life shift and change.
Yeah, bro.
Man.
Yeah, and that's so good, man, because I just think about my own life, bro. I think about my own life, and I think about I give you plenty of examples, but I just give you one example. Is when I made it to college, right? Like I made it. You know what I'm saying? I made it out of this shy. I made it to college, first one in my family to go to college and everything of that nature. But you know what, dog? My first year in school, it was it was summertime. It was time for me to go and stay somewhere.
Yeah.
But I'm still in foster care, but I really didn't have no place to stay.
Mm.
So now I can't stay on campus. It's shut down. So now it's like, yo, Tony, where you about to go? I ain't really got that support.
Mhm.
I ain't really got that family like that. So you know what? I got to go back to the shy. All my family still live in the hood, bro. They still living in the ghetto.
To the environment.
They still living in that environment, bro. I'm in college now. I done made it, bro.
Yeah.
But I still got my reality, which is back at the crib. So man, listen, thank God for my social worker. Renee Hurd, salute, bro. Like I love her like a mama, dog. I had my social worker and we worked diligently to try to find somebody who would be willing to open up their doors and take me in during the summer.
Mm.
And just so happened, it was my high school basketball and baseball coach, Mr. Robinson. During that summer, bro, he opened up his doors and let me stay with him during the summer. But you got to understand how pivotal that moment was for your boy. Me going back to Chicago with no place to stay during the summer, what that's gonna look like for your boy.
Got a lot of time
So
on your hands,
so
bro.
so listen, I just heard you give your social worker a shout out and how much she meant to you,
Yeah.
something like a mother. I think that's important because I know there may be other social workers that are listening to this podcast. What was it, if you don't mind me asking, what were some of the key points or some of the highlights that you can remember that really caused you to feel the way you feel about her that she did
Yeah,
to make that impact?
It's about support, right? Support to help you find the necessary resources that you need. I mean, I can go down a long list of things, man, but for real though, like when I was in high school, my junior year, bro, and I was living with my grandfather, and he ended up dying because of lung cancer. I ain't had nowhere else to go again. I'm looking for somewhere to go. I'm just a high school kid, bro. Like, what am I gonna do? But my social worker was right there with me, man, and we just began to try to figure out what some options are. And just so happened, an elementary friend came to mind. Elementary friend. I'm in high school. Elementary friend came to mind. She spoke with the mom and told the situation, and she opened up her doors to me, bro. And that gave me a place to stay. That helped me finish high school. We talk about the statistics now.
Yeah.
1 in 4 dead or in jail. Bro, if you ain't going to school, where you gonna be at? You feel what I'm saying? So you talking about pivotal moments. We talking about support. And my social worker, man, whenever the rubber met the road, whenever things got sticky in a sense, man, I had her and she did what she could do to help me to continue to move forward.
That's what's up.
So it sounded like she really went above and beyond to make an impact in your life that made you feel like it was way more than just a job.
Man, you know, I can't, I'm be honest with you, I can't say she went above and beyond because truthfully, caseworkers and social workers are supposed to do those things. But I will say this, I felt like she went above and beyond because, bro, whenever I needed her, she was there.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean when I say
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Whenever I needed her, she was there, man.
Gotcha. So when she came to your rescue, more to say, did she put you in a foster home or they just took you in? Was that a difference? Did they actually become your foster parents for that time frame, or did they just take you in? Like, what's the difference on that?
Well, they just for the most part of my time in foster care, man, I was always in kinship care. And kinship care is simply, man, you living with a relative.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But in this situation that I just talked about, being in high school, my grandfather dying, that wasn't a relative.
Okay.
That was a childhood friend
Okay.
that I still had a relationship with. So that she was like, at that point, she was a foster parent.
Okay, that's what I was trying to see.
At that point, she was a foster parent. That was like, sometimes they call it an emergency care, you know what I mean? But at the time, it was an emergency situation. She's willing to take me in, and she became my foster parent during that period of time.
Bet. Well, man, hey, like I said, we got Antonio Grate with us.
For sure.
Topic tonight is breaking the mold. One man's journey from foster care to fulfillment.
Let's go.
Question number 5.
Let's go.
In what ways do you believe society can better support foster children in achieving their dreams. How can parents, foster care parents, let's go that route. How can foster care parents help those kids achieve their dreams?
Man, it's not a one, a one answer that really fits all, right? I just think that every situation is unique, every situation is different, but I also believe that community is important. And we keep talking about support for foster youth, but foster parents need support as well.
Okay.
And I think that community aspect is huge because being a foster parent is not easy, bro. It's not easy at all, man, because you got to think about it. Let's think about it in the simplest form. You got an adult taking in potentially a child that's not even theirs. I mean, like, think about it, because it's already, in a sense, hard enough to raise a child that's yours. So now you're taking in somebody that's a complete stranger. But now we add the reality to it, is the fact that you're taking in somebody that's a complete stranger that has dealt with trauma. And the extent of that trauma varies. But there are foster parents that are taking in children that has an extensive resume of trauma, dog. And if you're bringing in kids like that, you know what you're bringing in? You're bringing in a broken individual. And if you're bringing in a broken individual, you're bringing in an individual with issues. They gonna try you. So the foster parent needs the community of support with other foster parents, with other caseworkers, with other potential youth with lived experiences that's no longer in the system, because they need wisdom, because they need guidance, because they need encouragement, because they need resources. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the main things I would say to a foster parent or to adopt a parent. Continue to seek out a community for your own support, because, man, it's not easy to do what it is that you guys do on a daily basis.
That's good stuff. Man, and it's like when I think of foster care, I'm thinking like, I'm not even knowing how big it really is. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking that, oh, it's well handled. They got plenty of foster parents. Like, these kids are, you know what I'm saying, being adopted or being fostered in, and everything's good. So I like you coming on the show, it really enlightens me.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm thinking like, man, it ain't even that deep out there. But no, it really is. And the kids that are going into foster care, like you said, they got issues.
Yeah.
So not only, so the parents, these foster care parents got to be brave. You can't just do it just to be doing it. You got to be called. You got to have a calling on your life to be able to deal with kids that have issues, bro. Like I said, I got a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old. You know what I'm saying? And like, them two alone is enough.
Yes.
You know, after me and my wife had our second kid, we was like 2 and through. Like, we're done. You know what I'm saying? Like, so imagine, you know, if something happened to somebody in my family where I had to take a kid in. You know, hopefully I already know them, but it was like a second or third cousin. You just never know.
Yep.
So, man, like I said, yeah, I definitely got a new appreciation, not only for the foster care parents in the system, but for what you do. You see what I'm saying? Like, I see you doing your thing, but I'm like, you know, so you just never know how much is needed until you really sit down and talk to somebody that's lived it. So yeah, you can feel the passion from what you talk about. You know that you're very knowledgeable in what you're doing. Y'all need to look this guy up. He already told you one of the ways you can reach these kids in the foster care system is to have somebody come in that's already lived it and done it. Guess what?
Absolutely.
Antonio Grate.
Hey, and I will say too, he haven't mentioned it yet, but Antonio have a book out that kind of have a lot of these tools that he's talking about. Is beneficial to social workers, it's beneficial to the foster kids, and it's beneficial to foster parents. So I encourage you to check that out.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I appreciate 100%, Joe. And Dwayne, thanks for that, man. But yeah, the book is called The Power of One: How Guardians Can Successfully Transition a Foster Child into Their New Home. And the ultimate thing with this book, man, I wanted to share my story, but I also wanted to, from a lived perspective, share tips, tools, and strategies to foster parents and adoptive parents that can help bridge their relationship gap with that child that they brought into their home.
That's good.
Because the truth of the matter is, man, there's a relationship gap that exists there. You know what I'm saying? You got a foster parent and a foster child now coming into the same home to live together for the first time. Guess what? They are complete strangers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And there's a relationship that has to develop there, and it doesn't happen overnight. But my intent is to help share some things that help me through my journey.
That's what's up.
You feel what I'm saying?
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Anything else on question 5?
No.
All right, last question of the night. Like I said, we got Antonio Grate with us. This is the Elevated Chat room.
Chat room.
Elevate your mind, elevate your life. All right, here we go. Looking back, what aspect of your journey surprises you the most? What surprises you the most, man, with your foster care journey?
Everything. I mean, for real, everything, man. Because, like, you know, on here, thank you guys once again for having me. I had an opportunity to share, you know, some of my story, but of course, we ain't even really touched half of the things, you know, that I've been through. But it's just to know that, man, like, I don't look like what I've been through, and I say that wholeheartedly because it was that thought that I had several years ago that caused me to take a different direction in my life, meaning that I began to just look over my life and I began to realize, like, yo, man, when I started thinking about all that I've been through, that I didn't only go through it, but I made it through it. And I felt like I made it out on the other side. Yes, and if you just want to say the other side, alive, you know what I mean? Like we could just say it like that, but I made it out alive and I made it out with a sound mind, you know what I mean? And because I had that thought, I said, man, I just want to start helping individuals that's kind of been through what I've been through. And it's been full steam ahead ever since. So like for me, man, it's just the fact that like, yo, like I've been through some traumatic situations. I've been through some challenges. I've been through some obstacles. I've been through some things that was designed to take me out. But at the same time, man, I made it through it. And I literally want to be a living example, living proof to show those youth that are currently in the foster care system that, yo, I know right now what you're dealing with ain't easy. Yeah. I know right now what you're dealing with is difficult. I know right now what you're dealing with is trying. I know you feel like you're being misunderstood. I know you feel like you're being mistreated. I know you feel like your back is against the wall and everything is against you. I know that you want to give up. I know that you feel alone. Like, I know all these things about you, and I know it because I was you. But at the same time, if I can just stand before you and maybe get your ear or even get your eyes, because sometimes believing is seen, if I can be that person to ignite you, to transform you somewhere, somehow, to tap into what word? Hope, dog. If I can cause you to tap into hope, I've done my job. And the reason why this is important, because, bro, when you start thinking about individuals that lose hope, let me tell you a statistic. Let me tell you a statistics real quick. Kids, first of all, suicide is the third leading cause of death between kids between the age of 15 and 24. The third leading cause of death between kids between the ages of 15 and 24. Let that sink in for a minute. But why in the world would anybody commit suicide? Why? Because they done lost hope. Why? Because they haven't identified a purpose. Why? Because they haven't identified a reason to live. You know what I'm saying? But you know why? It's because of the past experiences, the negative experiences. Man, we all got a breaking point.
Trauma.
We all got a breaking point, dog. And the reason why I'm so passionate about this, because there was many times where I was at a breaking point, but because somebody showed up in the nick of time, it gave me another lifeline. Bro, it's a thin line between life and death. It's a thin line between eating and not eating, bro. And a lot of kids are facing that situation, but they're not only facing it, they haven't had individuals to show up when they needed them. And because they didn't have individuals show up when they needed them, the support, they was forced to indulge in things that wasn't healthy for them. A lot of kids, man, they don't want to do bad stuff, man.
That's true.
They don't want to be out here wilding out in the streets and acting crazy and doing drugs, man. But sometimes the hand that they was dealt was just so doggone bad, and they didn't get the support and they didn't get the help. That was the only thing that was out there for them to turn to. You feel what I'm saying? So the support is huge. But at the same time, man, I just believe that if I can reignite hope in the lives of the children that may be hopeless, I believe that can cause them to move forward and fight and believe better for themselves than what they're seeing each and every day.
Man, that's good stuff, bro. That's good stuff. So when they're in the foster care system and they go into these homes, I'm assuming those environments for the most part are pretty stable. They're more stable than what they were, or it could
supposed to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the word.
Supposed to be.
Okay.
Because you still got stories too, bro, of foster parents
abusing. Okay, I got you. Yeah. So how do you reach a group of kids that's in the foster care? You know what I'm saying? Like, you go out and speak and things like that. Are you speaking to a group of kids in foster care? Are you doing individual? Like, how does that look? How does that look?
Man, it's excuse me, it's a combination of things, right? Because, for example, you say group, you have group homes that are designed for foster youth.
Okay.
But at the same time, you have foster care agencies that bring in the children that are in their county
Gotcha.
to meet, right? So that's a group environment. And then you also have the individual aspect, which is also something I do with the mentorship. Like a lot of times when I do my mentorship, it's on an individual basis,
Okay.
along with group mentoring as well. But those are the ways, several ways that I communicate with them. And then at the same time, too, they have foster care conference for you. You know what I mean? So it's different avenues and different ways that I can begin to communicate with those kids that are in the foster care system.
Okay. I just wanted to know and see, you know what I'm saying? Because when you talk about hope, if you don't have a hope dealer, you know what I'm saying, there's no way for you to deal your hope to the kids and reach the masses, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's what I just wanted to know, like, hey, is that something that we need to look at? But you are already doing it.
Yeah, and that's
Already
that's
doing
what I like
That's
about
good
it
stuff, bro.
because he knows he understands his calling.
His
and
niche.
He know what it is that he's supposed to be doing, and he's tapping into that. And I really feel that there's not a lot of people. Now I could be wrong, but I don't feel like there's a lot of people that is actually tapping into that, and it's needed, especially when you have someone that literally has
Yes.
went through it.
Yes.
That has went through it, and so yeah, I support it 100% for sure.
That's what's up, man. Nah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
I do got a question though.
Yeah.
What's one of the hardest things that you've had to do in your life up until this point, like coming up to this point? Considering the fact of just hearing some of your story, I personally know your story, but just hearing some of your story and the different traumatic moments of your story, what was one of the hardest things that you've ever had to do to go through in your life?
Man, I don't know if you're gonna be expecting this answer, man, but I just feel like even right now, my life is hard, bro. Like we talk about the foster care piece and everything, and it was a lot of challenges that I experienced with that, or growing up as a youth, there was a lot of challenges I experienced with that. But just because I'm not in foster care anymore, just because I'm not in the ghetto anymore, it doesn't mean my life is easy.
Mhm.
Like, bro, I'm a husband. You know what I'm saying? I've been married for like 15 years, and I got 4 boys, and just trying to navigate that, trying to manage that, trying to keep that moving forward and being successful, living in this environment as a male, as a black male, bro, it's faced with all different type of challenges. And I'm gonna say this too, man. Like the truth of the matter is, we talking about purpose,
Yeah.
we talking about passion, but we also got to talk about, man, the adversary and the ways that he come against those who decide that they are going to live for purpose, who decide they are going to pursue their passion, and who decide that they are going to live for God and do what God has called them to do.
Good.
And ever since I made that decision, bro, the attacks has been on a whole nother level, man. On a whole nother level, because I understand why though. I understand because, bruh, as I'm sitting here right now, this is a platform that you guys have allowed me to share my story that can go out to hundreds and thousands of people and bless somebody and change somebody's lives. And the enemy don't want me on platforms like this. The enemy don't want me on platforms where I can begin to share my story and begin to transform individuals' lives, because the truth of the matter is the enemy want our youth. They want him. He after him. He trying to kill him, bro. And I'm trying to give him life. So you don't think I'm not going to be facing some attacks and some adversities even right here and right now?
Yeah.
So to be honest with you, bro, yeah, I made it through foster care. Yeah, I made it through the ghetto. Yeah, I made it through the fact that my mom was on drugs. Yeah, I made it through the fact my dad went in my life like that. Yeah, I made it through the fact I almost shot twice. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I made it through the fact of the death of my grandmother and the death of my grandfather. I made it through those things, dog. But the truth of the matter is, bro, I'm still fighting to make it through stuff right now. So right now, it's a challenge. Right now, it's difficult. But can I tell you something? That why, that purpose, it do something to you when you face with the adversity. It do something to you when you face with the challenge. You know what it do to you, bro? It won't let you give up. It won't let you quit, because now I'm living for something much bigger than me. I'm living for something much bigger than me, man. And when you could begin to look at and focus on the big picture, game changer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Game changer.
And that's that. And like I said, I'm you said a whole lot, you know, and with me, you know what I'm saying, like with my being a husband, dad, coach, all the stuff that I do, man, I know like the enemy doesn't want your marriage to be blissful and
Facts.
function and be solid and really have that unconditional love.
Facts.
So my thing is this, man, it don't matter what the enemy tries to throw at you.
Hello.
It does not matter.
It don't.
Um,
It don't.
even if you strike out 7 out of 10 times,
Mm-hmm.
if you bat 300 in the major leagues, you go to the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we gonna drop the ball. The enemy gonna try to come and fight.
Yeah.
The enemy gonna try to do this and do that. But I promise you, when it's all said and done, the life you're living, you're built for it.
Yep.
Like God didn't make no mistake in just, let me just drop him here or drop them.
Yeah.
No. You where you are for a reason. You're going through a battle for a reason. The pain and the pressure that you're going through is designed to build you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You tell the kids all the time, life is a fight. You know what I'm saying? You might, whether you volunteered to get in the ring or you didn't volunteer to get in the ring, life in the start hitting, it's gonna swing on you.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying? So my thing is, man, it's all about the perspective. You know what I'm saying? It says if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Yeah.
So no matter what goes on in our life or in my life, I've got to find a way to look at it through a different lens.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't, that's when the depression comes in. That's when that loneliness comes in. That's when you start to feel unworthy and not appreciated. Because sometimes as a father and as a husband, it's a thankless job. When we really think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we don't always get the pats on the back that we may think that we deserve or that we're looking for. But we just do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that in itself is a challenge. You know what I'm saying? But when it's all said and done, man, I know that when you're living a life of purpose,
Yeah.
and you're doing things on purpose,
Yeah.
and you are being intentional with your gifts,
Mm-hmm.
with the titles that you hold and carry, man, God will smile down on you and on us, and you'll look up. It's like, man, how did I start speaking at all these different places?
Mhm.
Man, how did I connect to this person, to that person? Man, how did my wife and my life and our marriages grow and blossom? How did my kids, you know what I'm saying? I see them doing things and their giftings are showing and you know what I'm saying? We winning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
We winning.
For sure. For sure. I mean, that's all we do is that's all we do is win, man. The one thing I want to say,
Okay, DJ.
you know what I'm saying? No, for real though, man. The one thing I want to say is that, man, like one thing I learned about myself, and this is just, you know what I'm saying, another way of me just being transparent, is
Mhm.
that like none of us like taking hits, whatever they may look like. None of
Mhm.
us like having or experiencing losses.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But like you said, your perspective, the way you look at it. I know we talk a lot about failure, really ain't failure
Mhm.
based upon your perspective and how you look at it. But the truth of the matter is, when those things happen, initially that stuff don't feel good, man.
Oh no, it don't.
And so the thing that I learned through my life is that like we go through things and we grow through things ultimately to help someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it builds something up in you too. And it could build your faith, it could build your character, it could build a
Yeah.
lot of different things. And one thing it has built up in me, it has built a warrior mentality in
Come
me.
on.
And
Come
when I say it's built a warrior mentality in me,
Let's go.
I don't run from fights.
Mm.
I embrace the fight. And the thing about it is, the thing about a warrior is one that's skilled in battle. A warrior is one that's skilled in fighting. And the only way you can be skilled in fighting and skilled in battle is because you've been through some wars.
Mhm.
Let's go.
You feel what I'm saying?
That's good.
So I've been through some wars, but at the same time, I learned how to win in the midst of a war.
Yeah.
I learned how to win in the midst of a battle, bro. So I'm never running away from the fight. I'm engaging in the fight and I'm learning strategies and I'm learning tactics in order to help me win in the midst of the fight. Because I understand when I win, now I'm more equipped to help somebody else win.
Mm.
That's what it's all about, dog.
That's good stuff, bro.
100%. That's what it's all
Yeah,
about, man.
that's-
And that's my life. You feel me? And that's what I'm about, man. I'm about, with my life and my experiences, trying to help someone else win in the midst of their experiences, in the midst of their life. Because I believe they can.
All right, y'all. This has been one powerful episode.
Yes, sir.
Antonio Grate. The topic tonight was breaking the mold. One man's journey from foster care to fulfillment. Dwayne, Close us out, my guy.
Antonio Grate, again, we thank you so much for being a guest on our episode for tonight. Again, this is the Elevated Chat Room. Thank you all so much for continuing to share our podcast, to like it, to comment, and just continue to do so. We greatly appreciate it. Until next time, this is the Elevated Chat Room. Elevate your mind, elevate your life. Let's go.
We out.
Peace.